question is from John Young in New York. How do you actually figure out the right speed at which to do something?
Hi, Josh. Thanks for that question. I'd say two things to that. The first is that when I talk about slow and doing things at the right speed, I think it's important to remember that everybody has their own metronome, everybody has their own clock, their own natural rhythm. So something that feels the right speed for me may not be the right speed for Josh and may not be the right speed for Arianna. So it's a very personal thing, I think, finding the right speed. But once you get your head round that concept, how then do you identify whether you're in the right speed or you're going a gear too fast or even too slow? I think there's a feeling of kind of calm when you're performing the act, that you don't feel rushed, that you feel, I mean, athletes talk about being in the zone, that feeling that everything is as it should be. And I think that most of us know that kind of state, that state, I mean, some people call it the state of flow. Of course, people talk about the state of slow, in the zone, that sort of feeling that yes, this is what I'm meant to be doing now. I'm fully engaged with it. I'm doing it as best I can. I don't feel rushed. I'm not even maybe thinking about the clock. And I think that's often a feeling, that's really the sign that you're moving at the right speed. And that applies as much in the workplace when you're knocking out a report for the boss on Friday as it does when you're in the playground, spending a couple of hours with your children. That feeling that you're fully there, you're in the moment, you're not distracted, you're not worrying about the next item on your to-do list. You are there completely. And I think we all know intuitively, we can feel in our bones when we're in that state.
You mentioned a few times, Carl, your children and being a parent, and there's a story in Time magazine this week that deals with this effort that parents often make into crowding their children's lives with everything, as though somehow their children are going to miss out if they don't do everything at once. So how is the slow movement affecting parenting and the way we parent and the way we deal with our children?
Well, this much engaged in the whole debate around childhood because, of course, especially in this last generation, I think, we've handed on the cult of speed to children. I mean, kids are stuck in fast forward in this generation in a way I don't think we've ever seen before in human history. They come out of even before they come out of the womb, we're pounding them with Mozart through the mother's tummy to try and stimulate the brain synapses. They're born, they hit the ground running, it's Baby Einstein DVDs, and then it's endless activities and this feeling that somehow the childhood has become a kind of race to a finish line that it's not quite clear where it lies or if anybody ever really gets there in the proper sort of state. And I think that this is backfiring on us in lots of different ways. It's turned childhood into a slightly joyless dash to a finish line. And it's also taken a lot of the magic out of parenting. And I speak as a parent myself, that when you turn parenting into a cross between product development and a competitive sport, it ceases to be a fun thing. It just becomes a cross to bear. And I think that's why you're seeing right around the world, including in the US, this kind of slow pushback within the world of child rearing. And you see it in school systems where administrators or teachers are trying to get away from this hothouse education approach where you stuff kids with academic learning earlier and earlier and earlier and then test them over and over and over again until exam scores become more important than learning itself. You're seeing a big pushback even in the hothouse East Pacific Rim, East Asian countries, realizing that doesn't work. So that's happening at the school level, but you see it very much in homes as well now that parents are looking around and saying, is this really what we wanted for our children? Is it really what we wanted for ourselves? And increasingly the answer is no. So you find, there are towns across the United States now that hold what they call ready, set, relax days when all homework and extracurricular activities are canceled to give children one day when they can hang out, rest, play, be children. And you're seeing also the same message coming from the elite universities telling kids to put on the brakes. I mean, I wrote about this in my first blog for the Huffington Post about the whole slow culture quake, that Harvard University a little while ago sent out a letter to all of its freshmen saying, welcome to Harvard. We want you to reach for the stars and be the best that you can be. But in order to do that, to achieve that, you need to avoid getting overscheduled. You need to put on the brakes. You need to leave space in your planner when you don't do anything. You just hang out, you sleep, you talk to friends, you think, you sit under an apple tree like Isaac Newton did. And the title of that letter, the letter from Harvard University, which is the Mount Olympus of academic achievement. Harvard, which is the pot of gold at the end of the modern parenting rainbow. That's Harvard saying, the title of that letter is slow down. And that's Harvard saying that. So I think it shows that the tectonic plates are shifting below the surface. And the idea that faster is always better, I think, is now bankrupt. It's bankrupt in the financial markets, in the macroeconomy. It's bankrupt in family and parenting. We saw that Disney is now offering refunds to anyone who bought a Baby Einstein DVD in the hope that they would accelerate their children's development and turn them into a small genius. The house of cards that the speed culture is built on, the foundations are wobbling, and I could see it falling apart. And you see it in homes, you see it in workplaces, you see it across the board. And parents, of course, are very much on the front line.
I must say, the relax, I love that. I'm going to start using it. We actually have a video question that we're going to take now.
Hi.
Hi, Ian. You're in
Hi there.
Los
Hi,
Angeles.
Ian.
I am in Los Angeles. It's right under there. I was just wondering, I've read Tim Ferriss's book and a few other things along those lines, and I have kind of I pretend like I have a fast-paced lifestyle, but anyway, I was wondering how much of being able to live a slower lifestyle is actually being able to, or actually having the resources needed to do something like that, i.e. the money to be able to live the slower lifestyle versus, I know you're talking about what can you do in your day-to-day existence to be able to slow down, but if you have to work to be able to survive, to pay your rent, to do this, that, and the other, how slow can you really go without figuring out ways to increase your revenue to allow you to do the things that you want to do, or are those things part of slowing your life down as well?
Thanks, Ian. I can see there's a clock over your left shoulder there. Time is money. It's interesting that you bring that question up, because it often surfaces, and people frequently assume that, I think less so now, but certainly when I first started putting this idea about, the first reaction was often, oh, well, slowing down is just a luxury for the rich. You've got to have a big pension fund, you've got to have a lot of money in the bank, and then you slow down. But I think that's missing the point. The reason people feel that way is that they assume that slowing down is automatically and exclusively about working fewer hours and therefore earning less money. And I think that's a very narrow way of thinking about slow. On the work front, actually putting on the brakes, slowing down judiciously at the right moments, resting, can actually make people in many, if not all, jobs more productive. So you may find that actually by slowing down, your earnings go up, or that they stay the same, at least. If you have a different way of using time in the workplace, if you have that flexibility of where you're working, then you can actually end up working better, and you don't necessarily have to sacrifice income. But then, of course, other people will be in a position where they make the choice, that they figure, what's important to me doesn't necessarily mean I have to earn X number of dollars. I can earn a little less and have a bit more time and do things that don't cost so much money.